Hi everyone, this is Anthony Christou and welcome to this episode of Dark Myths. Today's story is possibly a true one, and I've changed names and some details to protect those involved, but this is based on a real interaction, one that took place deep in the mountains of Japan. You can choose to believe this story or not, but hey, this story may have happened, and to be honest, it's quite chilling. If you've ever heard of the Kitsune, or you know that they can be benevolent or they can be mischievous creatures, even dangerous, testing human desires. This is the story of James Johns, a man who crossed paths with a fox that wasn't quite what it seemed. Hi everyone and welcome to this episode. James had been traveling across Japan for 3 weeks, hiking different mountains with his friends, enjoying his time all across Japan, exploring remote temples. He was with his girlfriend and a few close friends, but exhaustion was setting in after a fight with his girlfriend. She wanted to return home early, and so did his friends. James chose to continue alone. He said goodbye to his group and set out on one last week alone. He wasn't happy about it, but he couldn't solve the issue with his girlfriend. His girlfriend was upset that he just wanted to explore for too long and she wanted to go home. They also had some fights about certain things. I think it was just living arrangements, and he just realized he couldn't do anything about it. He just said, I can't change. Maybe we should break up. He knew deep in his heart he didn't really want to break up with her, but he just needed a break from the relationship. He knew deep down he still loved her, and he had to move on and I guess just have a little bit of a break. He said he was happy to resolve it with her. It was more of a separation than a harsh breakup, but they said, look, let's just go our separate ways. She went back home to Australia and he continued on his holiday. He said he's only going to be 1 more week hiking in the mountains and that he'd be back home with her and sort out, I believe they lived together, and he'd sort out everything and just said that, look, this is not a good time. We've had, a great time so far. Most of the holiday was good. Like, they said that they had a great time, but it just, I guess they got on each other's nerves because they were with each other every day. They didn't have the routine and structure of work, all that sort of stuff. So he had this week of solitude. He decided he would book a small cabin in a quiet part of Japan in the region of Nara. This is known for its ancient fox shrines or fox temples, inari shrines they're called in Japan. And as he hiked deeper into the forest, he felt like things were very eerily abandoned. Fewer tourists were around and silence held a strange weight. So he basically was hiking in these mountains for a while, and he just was enjoying it. He felt it was a bit odd, like as he walked further and further into the forest. Of course, as you're hiking, you're going to see less people, but Japan's quite a busy, populated place with a lot of tourists, a lot of locals, of course. And in this town, it was getting a bit kind of misty and awkward, just kind of the whole, I suppose, mood change for him. So he kept on walking, and basically he came across a path and he saw this fox in the distance, and this fox was almost like stalking him, and the fox looked a bit different. So he was basically saw this fox, got a bit worried and thought, oh no, he's going to attack me. So after he kind of went, he just waited for the fox to pass. He took a photo of it and then he just walked off, right? Or trotted off as a fox does, right? And as he was walking down the path, he just kept on going towards his cabin, and he knew that foxes were common in rural Japan. He knew that they were wild animals. He knew that they were just curious creatures, and they may even follow you, especially if he was holding, he had a phone as well, and sometimes he'd switch the light on when he was taking a photo. So when they see light, they get drawn to light, foxes, and they may follow you along. So it was starting to get towards, sunset, and he was almost at the cabin. And he noticed that he saw this fox. He basically saw this same fox again. This time he noticed its fur was pale, almost silver in the moonlight. And James stopped walking, just sort of check it out. And the fox tilted its head slightly at him, and then it stepped off the path. It then kind of just walked off the path But instead of disappearing into the forest, it moved slowly, deliberately staying invisible, like it was following him towards the house, and almost like it wanted him to follow, or even follow the fox. It was just weird. And again, but he just thought this was strange. He took another photo of it, let it go, and then he decided to just kind of keep on walking down the path. It was almost at the cabin. He gets to his cabin, and he just decided, like, he would sit there, had some food there. It was an Airbnb kind of arrangement, and he would just eat. He was eating, having his tea, having some sushi and all sorts of nice stuff, vegetables, all this stuff that was provided by the host or the accommodation. And not long, he was just sitting there, and it would have been probably around about 9:30 at night when he heard like a knock on the door. And he thought, this is a bit strange. Is it the host or something? And he opened the door slightly. He just thought he'd open up slightly, just have a look. And he noticed that there was a woman there standing there. She was gorgeous. She was looked like a Japanese geisha, just beautiful, pale skin, and just standing there looking at him. And she says, "Oh, would you like me to come in and comfort you?" And he thought, this is just really strange. Like, what have I signed up for here? What's going on, And he just thought, well, I'll just talk to this woman a little bit first, just see what she says. And he says, "What do you mean?" She goes, she smiled. And then when she smiled, he could see that her little fangs or whatever, the teeth, these teeth here were a lot longer than normal. And he also noticed that she had these piercing green eyes, the same color of this fox. And what was also strange, she had black hair, right, but she had like a gray kind of streak, which was the same color as the gray or silver of this fox. And so he just thought, he felt unsettled, and he just was like, what is going on here? Like, who is this person? I'm not going to let a stranger in. I'm like, I don't know, what have I signed up for, some weird services? And I goes, I know I'm broken up and all that, but I'll let it go. So he turned around and said, "Look, I'm really sorry. I'm ready to sleep. This is a wrong time. Maybe we'll talk in the morning." And she's like, she put her foot in the door, and he noticed, like, even when she put her foot in the door, she was wearing like those I suppose sandals, Japanese sandals. And he noticed that her toenails were just unusually long. Like, they were a human foot, but she had a few hairs on her foot as well, which was strange for a woman. Like, it's quite a fluffy bit of tuft of hair on her foot. And her nails are really long, like probably like 4 centimeters long. And he thought, well, maybe she's just like, how women grow their nails long. And even her hand that she had the door on, the nails were long as well. And he thought, this is strange. And he just said, "Look, I'm sorry. You seem lovely and all, but I just really have to go to sleep. I've had a fight with my girlfriend, and I need to go to bed." At that point, he immediately had this deep sinking feeling like, what have I just said? And then she turned around and said, "It's okay. You don't have a girlfriend now. Let me comfort you. Let me keep you warm tonight. Let me give you a massage, and let's cuddle and let's have a good time." And immediately thought, this is really jacked up. And so he decided to just kind of say, "Look, I'm really sorry," and just shut the door on her. Like, somehow he got her out without, it was a little bit rude, but maybe not too rude. And she cried a little bit, like she was like going, "Oh, you're rejecting me. That's not really nice." So he shut the door and just decided to go lay for about half an hour. Like, he thought, I'll just lay in my bed. He had some nice jasmine tea or whatever it was that was there. And he kept to himself. He thought, this is just really strange. He did decide to board up, like move some furniture towards the door. He locked the door, but he also moved, there was a little bedside cabinet thing that was near the bed. It was like a 1-room kind of cabin. He moved it there, and he thought, there's something off about this person, right? So he's about to fall asleep again, and again he hears a knock on the door and then on the window. And she said, "Look, just come out and have a look at me, look." And it was like, obviously it was a full moon that night. It was nice weather too. It was kind of like spring weather in Japan. And he thought, "Oh, I'll just get up and see what she wants." Anyway, he goes to the window and sees her naked. And he freaks out, like she's taken her full kit off and she's naked. He freaks out. He shuts the blind, says, "Look, I'm sorry, this is inappropriate." But as he goes to shut the blind, she turns around, and he sees like almost like a tail behind her, like as she turns around. And then he just freaks out, shuts the window, goes, "I'm warning you, please leave me alone. This is really inappropriate. I don't know you." And he just kind of, he goes to bed and just thinks, wow, what the hell is going on? He did feel kind of tempted as well. He was like tempted, do I invite this woman in? Do we have some fun? My girlfriend will never really know. But then he was thinking, he had been in this relationship with his girlfriend, Julie, for about 5 years, and he wasn't going to blow that away. They had a fight. Yes, there were some differences on the holidays, but he knew that, like we said before, it was because they were like together with each other nonstop with their friends, and it was just a weird dynamic. And he knew that Julie wasn't being having bad behavior issues. It was just I guess bad timing on the holiday. And sometimes people have bad weeks or whatever. So he thought, I'm not ruining my relationship. I'm just going to let this go. So he goes to bed, and he has the whole night has these vivid dreams with this woman, this woman that he just saw, and she's in the bed with him, and it almost startles him. It wakes him up at 4 a.m. He thinks that there's someone with him, but he realizes, he wakes up and he's got blood on his hands and on his legs, and he's like, what the hell? Wakes up and he has a look. So James Johns wakes up at 4 a.m, as we said. He's got blood all over his hands and his legs, scratches. He looks and there's scratches all over. The bed sheets have blood all over him, and he's freaking out. He's thinking, what am I going to do? And he goes, takes a shower, and the blood just comes off. He puts the sheets in the shower as well. There is a washing machine there. He puts the sheets in the washing machine and washes it, and he's up. He went to bed at 9:30. He's up at 4:30. Let's just say after that encounter, it was about 10:30. So he's had about 6 hours sleep. So he's quite satisfied. He's had enough sleep. And he's thinking, I've got to go. Like, I'm going to leave early this morning. And he starts packing up. So he's cleaning his bed sheets. He's sorting out the place. He's leaving a note for the host saying, look, I'm really sorry. Must have scratched myself in my dreams or my sleep. I apologize. I will pay the cost of the stained sheets. He leaves a tip of some money on the kitchen table, and he washes the sheets, puts them up to dry outside. So he goes out. The sun is starting to rise, and he doesn't notice anything. As he's putting the sheets up, like on this clothesline out there, it's kind of like just sitting there. He notices as the sheet kind of blows in the wind, he sees again this grey fox, and it's grey with his piercing green eyes, and he's like, okay, this is weird again. This fox is stalking me. And he's starting to think, is this the woman? Okay. Or is it a Kitsune? He knew of the Kitsune folklore. He knew of the mythology behind Kitsunes. And he's freaking out because he knows that Kitsunes can be good, or they can be evil, they can be mischievous. And he knows like he's in real danger here. Regardless, it's even if it's not what he thinks it is, it's a wild animal. And foxes haven't been known to attack men that much, or attack humans, should I say. But they have known to be dangerous especially with the blood on the sheets and they're smelling blood. So he's like, I'm going to run inside. I'm going to get my backpack. He starts packing everything. He knew the fridge had some food, so he grabs the food. He knows it's at least another, probably half a day hike to get out of the forest and get back to the town. And then he basically decided after that, he'd only been nearly 2 days away from his friends and his girlfriend, Julie. It's time to just get back home. He's feeling like there's something off here, so he goes. So he ends up going back, and as he's going back, again, he sees the fox. It's following him on the trail, across the trail. And then he noticed the fox. He's like almost lured in by the fox. The fox is looking at him, and it comes up to him and thinks, "Is it going to bite me?" And then it like it kind of tugs at his shoelaces, and then it just kind of says, "Come this way." Like it doesn't say. It just kind of points him over there, and he thinks, "Look, you know what?" I know he's kind of scared, but he was like, "I'm just going to see what's going on. Maybe it knows that someone's in danger. Maybe whatever." So he goes off, walks down this other path, and he what he does is he leaves a handkerchief kind of on a tree, so he knows, and every like 300 meters he leaves something like behind so that he can find his way back and get onto the main path back to the town. So he follows this fox, and next minute the fox disappears, and in front of him he sees like almost like an opening. There's still trees around this opening, but he sees a lake, almost like a little lake, but it's hot springs, and he's like thinking, wow, I could have a bath here. So he goes to the hot springs, has a look, and he puts his backpack down. He takes off his t-shirt and his pants, and he's like, I'm gonna go have a nice swim in these hot springs. Puts his feet in the water, just checks the temperature, and it seems like a normal kind of Japanese hot spring, good temperature, but it's kind of weird. Like normally, you know, there's animals like monkeys around in these hot springs or something like that, and he can't see past probably 5 meters, and he basically looks out, and it's all fog because of, it's not fog, it's just mist and humidity and the condensation of the hot springs, because it's almost like a sauna. So he's in there and he's thinking, I'll just have a quick wash and just go in there, and then I'm going to get out. Like, so he takes a dip, takes his clothes off, just his undergarments, gets in the water, has a dip, feels amazing. And then he hears a voice and he's like, oh, you decided to rest here. At that moment, he basically feels his whole body sinking right down to his legs. And he's like, who's in here with me? What is in here with me in these hot springs? He freaks out and he's like, is it that creature again, that woman again, whatever the hell it was that was stalking his cabin? He basically swims out of the water, goes to the shoreline, grabs his clothes, puts it on, and he hears a voice. You don't need to be startled, she says. It's just me. Was gonna bathe you. Like, I was gonna give you a wash and comfort you. And out of the water he sees like the woman, and again that woman that he saw that was at his cabin, trying to get into his cabin at night, and she's naked as well, and she's just like swimming up towards him and right near him, like, and she's hasn't revealed her whole body yet. And he notices though, like from the corner of his eyes, like there's a tail coming out the water and another tail on the other side, but he's like, this is really strange, there's something else in the water with her. And he's freaking out, and he's like, look, you know, I just wanted to have a swim here, it's been nice knowing you, I've got to run. So he gets on his stuff, he treks out the path where he came from, keeps on going down that path, and he just decides, I'm going to run back. This is just obviously something supernatural, something weird. It is just not on. And he just gets back. He manages to safely make it back to the village where he started before he hiked into the forest. He gets back to the village. He reports it to someone in the local authority, and they look at him and they said, you must have encountered the Kitsune of the forest, or the fox of Shinoda Forest. So, anyway, if you like that story, this is based on the myth of the Kitsune, or the nine-tailed fox, or the Inari legends. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit more about the history of that before we close off. Now, if you like that tale, not all kitsunes or nine-tailed foxes are evil. There is the Tama Mono Mei legend, which is basically of a fox, nine-tailed fox goddess, who basically marries a king and creates a kingdom, and then it kind of goes into peril. That's one example of dark story, but throughout Japan, most of the stories are actually positive. Foxes are known to ward off rats from eating all the rice, and sometimes they've been known as omens. You see that there are stories also of the Inari, the nine-tailed foxes, which are very powerful, or ten-tailed foxes, which are almost like gods, and they're worshipped throughout Japan or respected, because even they would use fox urine on rocks near farms to repel rats, to stop them from eating their crops. So, the legend, most legends across Japan are good. They're, positive. There's not really much negative legend around the foxes or kitsunes, but there are also warnings of them being deceptive and luring men either into their deaths or into a life of servitude, or mating with men to have baby, human foxes or more kitsunes. So that's one area, and the rest of Asia has all sorts of mythology around nine-tailed foxes or kitsunes. They're called the hulijing in other countries, like China and Korea. And if you do want me to cover those sort of legends as well, I can in future episodes. But if you like the story of this, the foxes and stuff, I have a graphic novel, The Byzane Book of Monsters, which features a whole series of kitsune stories in there. And I also have a main character in my comic book series of Luminous Ages that is a kitsune. The name is Tsuchiko, and it's an original character that we created based off of Japanese mythology. It is a good fox, don't worry, and it's in baby form. It's a younger form. I wouldn't say baby, it's just a younger form, and it is following our companions across the wolf pack in our story. So if you like this episode, please tell me what you think about it. And obviously my story was based off of legend and mythology. Maybe it happened, maybe it didn't. We'll let you decide. But look, it was all for entertainment purposes and for my love of mythology and, of course, dark myths. See you on the next episode.